What's up, guys? Theo here. Just doing a quick prediction for UFC 296. Machado, Garry taking on Vicente, Luque. So initially, when I heard about this matchup, I kind of really liked Luque, and I think I was planning on maybe putting a unit on him or something, because the thing that's still fresh in my memory with Garry that's been scaring me is that guy Song Kinong wobbling him in the fight that he had before the Neil Magny fight. And I thought, God, anytime this guy goes up against any one of these like grown men that has like real fight ending power like Luque does, it's going to be really bad for Garry. But to Garry's credit, he looked pretty good in the Neil Magny fight, even though I was not very impressed ultimately at the performance. I wanted to see him finish Neil Magny. Felt like he should have been able to, and he just didn't seem like he was. He said that, oh, that's how you fight that guy. You don't finish him. You know what I'm saying? You don't put yourself in harm's way, which is really funny, like based on how he models himself off McGregor. It's incredible. His personality is incredibly annoying, but regardless, he's still obviously like a skilled striker, and he's really big at welterweight. And the thing about Luque is, man, he has a great fight style, but lately he's just looked a little slower. In the Rafael dos Anjos fight, I noticed he seemed just a lot more hesitant to brawl than he usually is. And I mean, the thing is, Luque is not old, but he has a ton of miles on his body, which is not great. And, you know, it's kind of starting to look like that a little bit. And normally I am not one to be like, you need to try to time when this fighter's fall off is going to be, because honestly, my belief is you can never do that. So I don't try to do that. But based on what I saw out of Luque in his last fight, if I was to put that fighter up against Garry, man, I just can't convince myself into betting Luque at those odds. Plus money against Garry, I just don't think that bet will cash personally, even though I initially liked Luque to knock him out or sub him. But there's just things that I've been seeing that make me think that that's less and less viable of an outcome for Luque. I think one thing that really has stuck with me was something that Michael Bisping said on his podcast the other day. I think it's Believe You Me. You know, he brought up the point that Vicente Luque and Garry were training partners at the same gym for years. I don't think they still are, but I mean, you know, they spent a lot of time training together. I really don't follow gyms and the politics and the culture, and I'm not a martial artist, so it's hard for me to really read too much into that stuff. I just kind of go off of what I hear. But based on what I have been informed on, I mean, they were training partners together, so they've definitely spent a lot of time sparring. And Bisping said something really funny about Garry. He said, you know, they've sparred together. Garry's a young, cocky guy. He wants to be McGregor. He wants the belt. Garry would not call out Vicente Luque if he did not know that he was going to beat him. Garry just would not do that. And I thought, damn, Michael's spot on with his reads sometimes, man, because I thought the same exact thing. I was like, damn, he's right. Garry never would have called out Luque if he thought there was a chance he couldn't beat him. And based on all their sparring sessions, I mean, obviously at this point, if they trained at the same gym, they probably got hundreds and hundreds of rounds in together if they spent any time sparring, I mean, for several years. And once you do that, I mean, in these martial arts gyms, guys, people know where people are at. There's pecking orders, right? Everybody knows in every gym that there's some dude that's kind of you know what I'm saying? You hear about all these gym fights all the time, and man, there's hierarchies in gyms, and people know where they're at when they're sparring with people. They know if some dude gets the better of them every time. They know that some dude might be trying something out that might go really well in sparring, but then it ends up not working out in the ring. I mean, I know you can't always relate sparring necessarily to what happens inside the ring, but at this point, where Garry is the fresher, younger, more explosive fighter compared to how Luque has looked recently, even though I think Luque has the tools to beat him, I just can't bring myself to make a bet on Luque here, man. I just can't do it. So the official pick is going to be Ian Garry, based on the Bisping logic that there is no way Garry would call out a fighter that he has sparred with, that he knows how he matches up with him, if he did not know he was going to crush him. Ian Garry's not that guy, man. He's not McGregor. McGregor would actually go out there and take unfavorable matchups and shit like that. Garry is, man, he's a very unlikable guy, and I just don't see him. Like, why would he call out a guy in Luque in that stage of his career? Luque's not going to win the belt. He knows that. Why would he call out a guy that he has trained with, used to be sparring partners with? Why would Ian call him out like that? The only reason he would do that is if Ian knew he was going to win here. So, even though for the record, I just want to state my gut reaction when I heard this matchup was I was like, oh my God, Luque is going to finish him. Because, I mean, you know, Luque's a beast, man. He's got power and he can sub guys. I remember him subbing Michael Chiesa. I believe he subbed Tyron Woodley. I can't remember if he TKO'd or subbed Tyron Woodley, but I mean, and that was a shot Woodley at the end of his career, obviously. The guy has finishing ability, man, and if you almost get finished by Song Kenan, that's not a good look. I don't know if that was just an aberration because Gary's fought tougher guys than that, like D-Rod, and pieced them up, but it just worries me, man. But no official bet for me on Vicente Luque here, guys. If I was gonna put money on this, I'd put it on Garry. Not straight bet him, but I'd parlay him or something. So yeah, keep it locked in. More matchup videos coming up for 296 in the next week. Later, guys.